And we are live and we are back. Let's go. I'm Cory, your host, one half of the Cory and Full Effect podcast. And I'm back like I never left with another installment of Money Mindset here on the Cory and Full Effect podcast. We discuss health and wealth, finance and fitness, and everything in between. We want to make sure you save more and save less and keep making better your best. Yes, yes. However, when my co-host Jordan went on paternity leave, we started Wealth Wednesdays, which is now rebranding the Money Mindset, where we get straight to the financial information, no filler in between. And I know y'all up today's video. Gen Z, which generation is the worst generation? It's always the latest generation, the youngest generation as far as in adulthood. But Gen Z is out here saying they need therapy because of filing taxes now. Filing taxes can be a stressful situation. But the fact that we're talking about almost a quarter, or maybe it might be over a quarter, but 25% of Gen Z saying they need a therapist because access, y'all, what is going on with the state of mental health and the state of just people in the United States of America? It is getting unreal out here. It's already been unreal, but it's just things are coming on themselves. I'm interested to talk about that, just financial. But before we get into the video, y'all know what to do. Make sure y'all comment, like, subscribe, share to the YouTube algorithm, rating reviews on the podcast platforms as well. My information, as well as my coach Jordan, can be found in the description on YouTube. I'm going to be very clear. I'm not going to stop saying this because you have to keep saying comment, like, share, and subscribe. But y'all are continuing to do it. We appreciate all the comments, all the feedback, the engagement that we're getting here on YouTube, and we're continuing to grow. I would say the most growth we've seen since we started in the last month or two. But look, doing my best to respond to you all. Not that you guys are responding a lot as far as don't keep commenting, but just the way the notifications are coming in, it's hard for me to see which ones are quote unquote new notifications. I try to like and heart or whatever each comment, and when I do that, that counts as an interaction, even though I haven't responded yet, and so I lose you guys because I haven't actually responded to your comment yet. So I'm learning over here on how to respond to YouTube comments. I didn't know it would make it go away from my filter because I liked it. But again, continue to the engagement. We appreciate the information you guys are giving us. I'm getting educated in the comments. People are giving different perspectives, and that's all we really want. As long as y'all abide by the YouTube guidelines, you can say whatever the hell you want in them comments. All right. Now again, the monthly card payment, we're gonna do that once a month. So I don't know if we're gonna do a next episode. This is gonna drop in Friday. I dropped on Monday. Now I'm dropping on Friday. I told y'all, look, the VA, helping my wife's VA submission for her increase, we're pretty much done. We're just waiting to get the exams out the way. But now my brain space is freed up because no longer spending so much time helping her put everything together for that. So I'm getting back over here, on my side of the house, doing this, studying for these AWS exams, and working. That's the main two extra things I do besides being a husband and being a dad. So I'm trying to get more episodes out more frequently to you all. But me saying that, like, y'all saying, where the hell is it taken out of context, right? That's what y'all really need. Cory would need these comments and your views on these crazy things that are going on social media. I know that's on the way. Speaking of crazy things going on the news and social media, student loans, I got an article about it, but I think when I say it's outdated, like, it's not that. It was like Biden forgiving $6 billion. So I'm gonna skim over it real quick, probably next week here or so, and see if it's something to go over. But again, we are slowly but surely. I mean, a lot of people I don't think know that we vote in less than 6 months. It is May 24th. Happy Memorial Day for those of you all who celebrate that. Shout out to everyone who served and unfortunately lost their lives serving. But I want to be very clear. Election season, we have to be ramping up very soon here. So if student loans is on the forefront, then I guess, as far as election campaign for either candidate, and I guess we'll, see a backseat for it. But my guess is, I should be having some articles in the next coming months about student loans. So y'all know how that goes. Now, y'all know what I'm about to say. This is your first time listening. This is for entertainment purposes only. Myself, no Jordan, fitness professionals. Everything you hear is for entertainment purposes only. You need to seek out a professional and do your own research before taking any action. All right, let's get into it, y'all. Taxes now require therapy for Gen Z. I mean, this is getting out of hand. I want to be clear. See, when I record more frequently, I'm in more of a rhythm. All right. And again, this is not as early as I did the last two episodes ago, whatever it was. But, it's still 6:30 in the morning. I go to the gym, got to go to work. It's all these crazy things. All right, y'all, 25%. And oh, yeah. Why did I say this? We going to old faithful, good old faithful CNBC here. 25% of Gen Zers say they'll need a therapist to deal with tax filing stress, anxiety, depression, self-deletion. My goodness. Now, taxes do cause stress and anxiety, sure. Maybe even, yes, taxes cause all those things. However, Gen Zers, being due to their age, are likely in a situation where they have the easiest tax filing situation. Most of them probably just have W-2. Some of them, they probably have maybe a higher percentages spitballing here of people who are doing more, what's that type of work that they call like Uber and things like that, and DoorDash? Whatever, gig work. There we go, gig work, gig economy. Where so maybe they might be more 1099, but we're gonna get into this article to see, what type of information they need to get together. Because a lot of Gen Zers say they're not making no money. So if you're not making that much money, what's the issue with filing your taxes? Make sure you're filing them, by the way. This is published April 1st, 2024, and this is articles by Annie Probert. We look, y'all, we making progress on pronouncing these authors' names. A woman planning a budget. Hey, shout out to this woman planning this budget. We need that. Anyways, taxes aren't enjoyable for people. Taxes are enjoyable for who? I don't even know taxes are enjoyable for the IRS. Anyway, taxes aren't enjoyable for people of any age, but they can be particularly stressful for younger generations, many of whom may have never filed before. I want to be clear. I'm assuming this is going to be talking about people over the age of 18. Let me see what Gen Z range is. Right now it's saying they're between the ages of 12 and 27. So people between, we can just call it 12 and 27. I mean, who knows when you start working, but they're saying the youngest is a 6th grader, the oldest is a 27-year-old. If you're over 18 and you haven't filed your taxes yet, you have your McDonald's job in high school, whatever it was. Anyways, in fact, 1 in 4 Gen Z taxpayers said they'll need a therapist to deal with the stress of tax filing season, according to a Cash App taxes survey. I would say Cash App is actually a good source for Gen Zers as far as sourcing information from a survey perspective. But I want to be clear. Mental health is very real. You don't have to explain it to me. But the crutch, I believe, or the excuse is, becoming for some people, which I would believe this survey might be, a lot of people might fall in that category for this survey. When we get into the stress of tax filing season, if you have one job, you are waiting for 2 pieces of paper. If you have insurance through your employer, which a lot of Gen Z is probably going to be, half for getting insurance through their employer, half of them are going to be on their parents' insurance. For those of them on their parents' insurance, they're, waiting just for one W-2 form, which my guess now is you can print a lot of this stuff out online. If not, you're still waiting for it, but it doesn't take that long to get your W-2. Just one W-2 usually comes, early February, and gives you 2 months to put that information in. And now the software for all these TurboTax, you can put in the information, the employer identification number is whatever it is, no pull up. Now they import everything in for your W-2. Taxes are not that complicated for probably most people in this Gen Z age range. All right. Additionally, though, 54% said filing taxes has either brought them to tears in the excuse me. Additionally, 54% said filing. I shouldn't be laughing. It said 54% has said they brought them to tears in the past year, or they're expecting to cry. They're expecting to cry this year when they file the taxes. That's over half. That's crazy. More than a coin flip. Richard Piano Forte, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, managing director of tax at Fiduciary Trust International, is surprised that the number isn't high. What? Richard is saying he believes the number should be higher. Richard is saying he has children in the age group, Gen Zers, and I don't think they're prepared for it. School doesn't prepare them. School doesn't prepare me for taxes either. School should prepare you for taxes, but hey, we pay tax dollars for school, right? School doesn't prepare you for them being taxes, and it's totally understandable. He says it's different to stress, but to need a therapist, come on now. At some point in time, we got to be sick. We got to be like, I think we might be reaching a little bit. Oh my goodness. Even figuring out which documents you need to file can be anxiety inducing, with 62% of first-time filers saying they aren't sure where to get their W-2s or 1099s. Good. So like I was saying, I wouldn't say there's no issue with Gen Zers being more stressed at this age range. Let's just call it 18 to 27. So we're talking about legal adults. Then the previous generations, because more of them probably on 1099s. And so that confusion there. But to need a therapist, come on, which is what this article is about, saying that a quarter of them need a therapist. There's only 54% saying they need to cry. They 54% saying they have cried over the past year, or they are expecting to cry. I don't expect, if it's not a funeral, I'm not expecting to cry at anything. Maybe if the Chargers win the Super Bowl, because I've already accepted that they'll never win Super Bowl in a lifetime. So maybe that might get me. Anyway, make sure you know what documents you have. Piano Forte says, I think that's the biggest issue when you ask younger folks, did you get a 1099 from your bank? Sometimes I don't even know what that is. 1099 interest, the 1099-INT from the bank. I would say most people don't have money. Okay, regardless of their income, most people don't have money in the bank. So in banks, unless you're doing, a high yield savings at like Ally, one of these online only places, or you might have a CD or something like that. But most people in this age range, is 12 to 27, likely aren't banking somewhere where they're going to get enough interest based off the interest rate that the bank is offering for their savings account, and or they don't even have enough money in the account. So even if they do keep money in the account, they're not going to get a 1099. I keep a few $1,000s in there for our bills account, and I still don't get a 1099 for my PFI. I get a 1099 from Ally where we have, our emergency savings, but I don't get a 1099 where my paycheck gets deposited and I keep the bills money in there, because the interest isn't, one, it's in a checking account. It's not even in the savings. I don't have any money in the savings account. It's like $8 something there. 5 of that, what is it, $8 in there? It's probably 13. 5 of that is, the membership fee that you got to have in there to keep it open. So I would say most Gen Zers aren't even going to get a 1099. Now, knowing what it is, different conversation. Gen Z's tax document checklist. All right, here we go. So we're going to go over things that Gen Z needs to prepare for. And I have this myself. See, the one thing millennials give past because, depends. But Gen Z gets no excuse. The Gen Z gets no excuse. They are part of Gen Z, maybe the 27-year-olds, so they're only 4 years younger than me, right? But most of Gen Z gets no excuse because they spent their entire lives on the internet. I mean, I don't know why we keep giving people who have college education a pass and people who spend their entire time on the internet a pass. And by the way, most people spend their entire day on the internet. So that's why I don't give anybody a pass. Y'all be out here bitching too much for me. Y'all lie too much for me. You spend all day on the internet. They spend all this time on TikTok, all these different things. And part of the issue is a lot of information is so clickbaity and it's in such a short form that they don't get the education, not the answers, but the education that they need to go and have a better insight when they're going doing their own education. But as far as their own research, right, you go, Google something on TikTok, right? But you look up something on TikTok because that's what most Gen Zers are using, and then it's just a 1-minute thing or a quick video. But then that information is such in a short form, such in a bite size that they don't get enough information to go and research it on their own to have a better understanding when they see these things. So, I mean, I'm not a tax professional, right? Not financial advice, but you can come over here and we can go through this article and go more in depth on the tax documents that, Gen Zers need, right? That's one of the reasons we do this article. Oh yeah, shout out to whoever left the comment talking about another negative finance YouTube video or channel, whatever. We don't do negative videos on here. The articles we might cover are negative. It's, again, 25% of Gen Zers need therapists, sure, but we're going to give Gen Zers a more thorough breakdown on how to help them through this financial situation. So look, I always got time to respond to the comments. Look, I'm a millennial. All right. So Twitter, I'm a Twitter millennial. I will respond to you via text. I'm not the one. Anyways, though, let's see what these documents that Gen Zers need. This is what I have for myself. I have a checklist of all the documents that, the ones that we always need to get. And then as, based off every year, I add to the list on, what we're looking for. And one thing too, with your taxes, you can, if you do them yourself, you can break it up. So once I get my W-2, I put it in, my wife gets a W-2, I put it in, as we get it. I don't just wait one time to do it all, because that can be a lot. All right. Take the stress out of taxes. Young filers should start by making a list of necessary documents to form their own guide, which can be used this year and in the future, says Piano Forte. Also, too, ChatGPT is a great way to at least make a checklist, right? Just multiple ways to source information. All right, here we go. We're going to relearn the main documents you'll need to find. Right, a W-2. Okay, this is, if you filled out a W-4, you're going to get a W-2. It's that simple. The first form you'll want to collect, right, is your W-2, or wage and tax statement. You'll receive a W-2 from your employer if you worked for a paycheck or earned at least $600 in 2023. This form reports income your employer paid you, as well as how much it withheld in taxes. Real quick on they'll probably get into the 1099 you receive from your bank or your 1099-INT. That's the interest. If you made over $10, I believe, in interest, your bank is required to send you that form. Now you're supposed to technically put, I believe, any interest you made on there and all, but your bank's not going to send it to you unless it's over $10, I believe. It might be $10 or greater than or equal to $10. And that's just the interest that accrued in your bank account from, it just having money in there. They'll send you that. This W-2 is the main one that most are going to have, W-2 or 1099, depending if you're self-employed or a contractor or not. And again, when it comes to your W-4 and taxes, right? Since we're talking about taxes, again, not financial advice. I'm not a tax attorney. I'm not in a CPA, not accountant, nothing like that. But I can explain to you when I do my taxes, and how I prepare for things throughout the year. So your W-4 is what you fill out. That's the federal form for your taxes or your withholdings, however you want to look at it. The W-4 is going to, ask you about if you're, single or if you're married, based off what tax filing status you want to do, or you can do married filing separately, or you can do head of household, right? Those are the four major ones they're going to talk about to see if you have any dependents, right? So for the child tax credit. And for those people who have more than one job, or you're going to do married filing jointly and your spouse is working as well, they're going to give you information on how to make sure that the right amount of taxes are taken out of your check versus your spouse's check if you're the person that makes more, has the higher income, so that when you get to tax filing year, while tax filing season is over, because it's May 24th, we're in May now, but so that the right amount of taxes, or as close to, right, in theory, right, these forms, they're not perfect, obviously, when it comes to taxes. That's why 25% of Gen Zers are struggling when it comes to taxes, or need a therapist. That form is to get you as close as possible to the return, or to make sure you get the refund that you want, or how much you want. Remember, you can never get too big of a refund, in the sense of you can never send the government too much money, but you can get penalized if you end up owing the government too much money. But in this case, the W-4 is for the federal. Then for those people who pay state taxes, every state form is different. In Maryland, it's the MDW 507, I believe it is. That's just the state form. It's essentially the state version of the W-4 for those of us who pay state taxes. It's going to be the same thing that you got to fill out, essentially. Ask you about your exemptions. At least in Maryland, ask about your exemptions. It might be a different verbiage in other states, but the same general thing. So those forms are what you're going to use to get your taxes withheld, and hopefully, as close to, again, whatever you want from a refund or an O standpoint for those. So you want to make sure, not too much is taken out of their check, but also too, you want to make sure that you look at your paycheck and actually see the taxes that are coming out after you fill out these forms, and then cross-represent with the IRS.gov. The IRS has a tax calculator. They're going to give a whole bunch of warnings, let you know it's an estimate. But you can go on the IRS website, and they have a calculator and going to ask you about your income, for you to pull up your pay stub, all these different type of things, fill it out, and they're going to let you know what your expected refund or how much you're going to owe is going to be. Then on top of that, you can go to ADP, A as in Apple, D as in David, P as in Peter, ADP.com, and look up their paycheck calculator. And you can go in there and sort of put that information in from the W-4 or from your state form, if you also pay state taxes. And you can see that, put exactly what it is, and ask you about your health insurance, your dental, your vision, how much you're putting into retirement if you're doing that. And then, your exemption at the state level, your tax filing status, married, filing joint, single, all those different type of things. And it's going to tell you how much your paycheck is going to be. Now, you're going to use these two calculators, because then what you can do is, okay, you see how much your paycheck is based on the ADP calculators within the penny now, I believe, because now they have it so that if you live in a particular state, they're going to make sure they put your all the way down to your county level, not just the city that you live in, but make sure you put your county in there. And that should give you within the penny or pennies or a few dollars of what your paycheck actually is that you're receiving in your bank account. Then when you go over to the IRS website, they're going to tell you if you're going to get a refund or you're going to owe, and they're going to let you know what you need to do to, I believe they let you know, if you want to get a smaller refund, then you need to, make these adjustments. And if you want to owe less, then you need to make these adjustments. Then you can go back to ADP and you can make those adjustments into the ADP calculator, and then they'll turn out what your projected new paycheck is going to be. So you can actually see what your paycheck is going to be before actually making the change with your HR department or however you do it at your employer, and then getting that money and like, nah, I know, I think I'll rather just, save my money on the side. And for taxes I want to owe this year versus actually having my paycheck reduced to this amount. The ADP calculator will actually allow you to see that paycheck before it actually hits your bank account, as far as, because it's a calculator, so you don't have to actually make that change. All right. And again, for the person said we do negative video, this is what I talk about. We give answers over here. All right. Look, I ain't one of them type of people. Did I take offense to it? I'm not going to say I take offense. I say I'm a CSP. So I got my CPST, certified professional shit talker. I'm not the one. Okay. I'm not the one. I'm really like this in real life. Okay. As Drake said, what, trigger fingers, Twitter fingers, whatever it is. I'm really like, can I say trigger? Anyways, freaking YouTube. I'm really like this in real life. This is not an internet thing. This is not a video podcast thing. This is not a word via text thing. If you talk to me in person, I'm really like this. So, beware for those of y'all leaving comments. Anyways, employers are required by the Internal Revenue Service to mail out W-2s by January 31st. But if you don't have a paper copy of the form, don't worry. Some employers also make W-2s available online via your HR department or payroll processor, says Piano Forte. Yeah, if you use ADP, I don't say they're the largest, but they're a very large payroll, I guess, processor system, or whatever you want to call it. But, your job will give you a login and you'll be able to see, download your W-2 form from there, as soon as it's available. And that's before usually you get sent in the mail from your employer. All right. If you still don't have your W-2 from your employer, contact them. Make sure they have the right address on file. Yeah, I would. If you don't have a system to log into to see, download your W-2, I would say February, Valentine's Day, the middle of February is the latest I would wait if you haven't received your W-2 yet. Also, too, your company should be contacting you, giving you updates about, hey, we're working on your W-2s, getting them sent out. Like they should be making updates, sending out, to the mass email, letting everybody know the status of it, because that's just part of HR/accounting's responsibility to keep people updated on their W-2s. All right. One thing too, for when they're saying they don't know if you're 1099, we're gonna get 1099s on here. One thing about 1099s is that for your W-2, when it talks about making sure the right taxes are withheld by your employer, the FICA tax, I believe, is 15.3%. Yeah, it's 15.3%. So your employer actually pays half of that. They pay 7.65%. However, if you're 1099, you pay the full 15.3% of the taxes, so that you actually have to, quote unquote, pay more in taxes because you have to foot the whole bill for that 15.3%. Whereas when you're W-2, your employer foots the other half. Contact your W-2. I'm your employer for W-2. All right, people who worked as freelancers or independent contractors last year will receive a 1099 NNC from their employer instead of a W-2 to report income. All right. Okay, 1099 interest. Again, thanks to high interest rates in 2023, you might have received a 1099 interest from your bank if you earn $10 or more, or interest. It is $10 or more, so greater than or equal to $10. On your savings. It's not your savings account. It's not just your savings account. It is a checking account as well. A checking account is not a savings account. If you earn $10 or more in your checking account, going to be hard to do because some checking account interest rates are damn near zero, but it's not just your savings account. I want to be very clear. All right. Look out for this, even if you haven't received one before. In prior years, it could have been under $10, so you didn't get the form. All right. Yes, I mentioned, I've already said this before. All right. You can find 1099 form right logging into your bank. Yeah. Usually, I would say you need to log into your bank and download it, especially if you sign up for paperless, mailing. You're probably gonna have to log into your bank and download it. You can find a 1099 form right, log in your bank account and follow the right directions. Yeah. Usually also too during that time of the year, they might have a banner at the top when you first log in telling you how to get to the form, or they have, like a taxes and forms type of section on there. Or you can just call the call center. Me, I'm gonna tell you to, if you can, go to the brick and mortar location, for your financial institution. It's never wrong doing that. Unless some of y'all is crazy. Don't go in the financial institution, acting all crazy. Don't do that. Shout out to, what's it, Ryan Cougar? Is that who it was? Black Panther? Kugler. There we go. And anyway, excuse me. Y'all, we covered that. We covered that, months ago, maybe over a year ago now. Anyways, Form 1099, I give it some miscellaneous or other crypto documents, roughly 50. Oh, yeah, y'all doing Gen Zers. Y'all also see more Gen Zers are probably doing 1099/gig work. More of them are probably have crypto and, selling crypto. Doesn't matter if you buy, but selling crypto. It doesn't matter if you buy, because you still need to keep track of that. But from a tax purpose, you haven't sold it yet, so no capital gains if you haven't sold it. But selling crypto and doing day trading or getting in and out of stocks, you got the short-term capital gains. Oh, yeah. Yeah, y'all probably waiting on a lot of documents. Oh my goodness. Roughly 55% of Gen Z investors currently invest in cryptocurrency. Crazy. And it's their responsibility to report, any crypto earnings to the government. Like, yes. Oh my. I forgot about that. I forgot about crypto. People still think crypto is kind of invisible to regulators. Nah, look. Anyways, Shehan Chandrasekera, a certified public accountant, told CNBC, make it. Truthfully, there are so many ways the IRS knows you've had something to do with crypto. The IRS, never mind. Don't mess with IRS. They don't need the Treasury. These are not the people to play with. The IRS probably, if you're talking about institutions or government agencies that have the most power, like in the world all time, IRS got to be in the top 10, arguably top 5. IRS can shut down your life because they can shut down your money. Like, they can just instantaneously. Anyways, centralized exchanges like Coinbase, yes, the larger ones, Coinbase should send you that 1099 form if you earned $600 or more last year. So when they're saying earned here, this does not mean your total. This just means that from what you sold, you made at least $600. So you can make $600, but then you might have had losses of $1,000. So technically your net is $400, and so you're not going to pay taxes on the $600, assuming you don't have more than. Well, I don't say not pay tax on that $600, but you had a loss of $400 in this scenario. Let me just leave it at that. Don't want to get into tax loss harvesting like that, because that's a $3,000 cap. But yeah, saying you made more than $600, so you had $600 in gains last year, so you had to sold that to make the $600. But even if you don't get a form from your exchange, that doesn't mean you don't need to report it, says Richard. I feel like I'm Piano Forte. I feel like I pronounced his name wrong. Keeping track of your crypto transactions can be difficult, but tax software tools like CoinTracker or Coinly can help generate the necessary forms when filing. Douglas Bonaparte, certified financial planner and president of Bonafide Wealth, told CNBC Make It. All right. IRS frequently asked questions. They ask you about that crypto now. They is keeping a list and checking it twice. I can't imagine where that information is getting logged, in particular for the crypto. They might got their own crypto like database for these questions, because they gonna come back and audit you like a mother if you end up. My guess is they're gonna audit you. I'm not saying they're going to, but if you start having some conflicting information. All right, I got some crypto. Me and my brother and my dad were doing some mining. 2021? Yeah, that I need to get rid of. I never transferred all of it. Anyways, since I still mind if I haven't transferred yet, I don't have to put it on my taxes. It's still sitting there. If you're paying college tuition, 1098T will determine which education-related tax credits you're eligible for. Okay, again, Gen Z too, but yeah, a lot of them are going to be in college, so they're waiting on this form as well. See, a lot of forms, I don't know what y'all waiting on. I'm W-2, 1099, whatever the health, 1098, whatever the health form is. Those are the ones I'm waiting for. If you're paying college tuition, will help determine which education-related tax credits you're eligible for. This form is usually found through your school directly. As Richard said, it's important to note that your 1098T doesn't include student loans. If you pay $600 or more in student loan interest, you should have received a 1098E, which can be found through your loan servicer. I would say, now I'm looking at that, I forgot, you got to pay the interest. And if you're still in school, you're not paying any interest yet. You don't have to make a payment while you're in school to your student loans. So I would say, it said, 12 to 27, so 22, 27. I mean, I guess the majority of people in this age range paying taxes, they're probably waiting on this form. But a lot actually no, because the forbearance didn't enter September. A lot of y'all, I forgot, a lot of y'all Gen Zers at 27, but we go back 4 years ago, y'all was 23. A lot of Gen Zers may not have even made a payment on their student loans yet, just due to the time period that they graduated. It's crazy to think 4 years ago, we're at, pandemic. And that's what this is, right when Gen Zers will graduate. My 9-year anniversary graduation was yesterday. Shout out to Squad, Bowie State University, Bulldog Nation. Nerd life, fur life. But yeah, a lot of them might not even made a payment to their student loans. Because one thing Gen Z gonna do is not make a student loan payment. We already talked about people trying to boycott student loan payments. One thing people are not gonna do is pay their student loans. They can find a way not to, Oh my goodness. All right, other resources for young filers, about to wrap up here. Almost half of Gen Z surveyed by Cash App Taxes were unsure of the when I think these episodes are going well, I'm about to end shortly so I can go about my day, because I'm trying to get to the gym, get back at this video up, all this different type of things. What are we talking about? When they talk about the recipes that are getting lost, shout out to Michael Irvin, one of the ghosts. We're losing recipes. Knowing the tax filing date, that's on your parents. If you don't know April 15th, Jesus' birthday, Christmas, July 4th, New Year's, Christmas, July 4th, New Year's, and tax day. Those are the 4 days that, if you're telling me you don't know, that are the same day. Like Thanksgiving is a day of the week. It's the 4th Thursday in in November, right? But Christmas is always the 25th. New Year's is always first. New Year's Eve is always 31st of December. New Year's is always the 1st of January. July 4th, Independence Day is July 4th. I mean, that's people would usually call it. Memorial Day, Labor Day, they're days of the week, right? They're not a particular date or day. And tax day, April 15th. Now, sometimes it rotates because of if it falls on Saturday or Sunday, or the IRS, they do have the right to just move the date back. But if you don't know that April 15th is tax filing day, that's on your parents or whoever, your parents might have raised, whoever raised you. That's this is where I start. This is where I start going off the rails, because now you're not making no sense to me. Now we saying Gen Zers don't know when tax day is. It says almost half of the people who took the survey. Remember, over half, 54% of them said they've cried in the last year in relation to their taxes or expect to cry. But yet they don't even know when they're going to cry, because they don't even know when the tax day is. What? Anyways, luckily, there are many resources online. Yes, they can just look it up because they're on their phone right now, right? Shout out to everybody being on, these supercomputers, known as smartphones, and not having any information that they need to actually create the life that they want. Piano Forte recommends checking out the IRS website, as I mentioned. See, I've already said this before. I'm not a professional, but I mean, one of the reasons we do this is show y'all, it doesn't take that much to just be autodidactic and go and do this research on your own. Yes, check out the IRS website where the actual information is, the answers to the questions. Now, it's not going to be that easy to understand, but hey, which has interactive tax assistant tool that can address questions specific to your individual tax circumstances, as well as an extensive frequent asked questions page. You can imagine how many questions people have when it comes to their taxes. I would start there. He says the IRS site is a great source and has gotten much better throughout the years. That is true. It has gotten a lot better. All right, that's it, y'all. Again, locked and loaded. 25% of Gen Zers say they'll need a therapist to deal with tax filing stress. Here's the first step to make it easier. Again, first step, reading this article and or watching this video, again, published April 1st, 2024 by Annie Probert. All right, y'all. I want to be necessities, debt payments, investments, lifestyle. I want to be very clear. Do not play around with your taxes. Most people, not all, but most people are in a relatively simple tax filing situation. Even if you're waiting on your 1099, if you're doing gig work, things like that, that's only going to get more complicated when you need to be tracking your deductions or your expenses with that, because you're 1099. But majority of people are still going to be W-2. W-2, your employer is tracking all the information for you. All you're doing is waiting for the form. If you have one W-2, you have literally the simplest, outside of not working at all. You just put that information in, and that's it. Now, again, when I talked about using the IRS calculator and the ADP calculator to sort of see what you're going to be paying in the taxes for next year, when for 2024. But when we file next year by April 15th, I don't know if the tax deadline is April 15th exactly next year, but April 15th, tax day of 2025, you'll be able to use the IRS tax calculator and the ADP paycheck calculator. Use those to see what you're currently making, and then use the for the ADP calculator, and then use the IRS paycheck calculator, your IRS tax estimator, calculator, to get an estimate of what your taxes are going to be next year. And they don't need the whole year. They'll by putting in your pay stub information and how much you plan on making this year, the calculator will be able to project out what you're going to end up paying in taxes for the rest of the year, what you're going to be able to make for the rest of the year. And then they'll be able to, say based off of your single, married, filing joint, how many kids you got, et cetera, any deductions you're going to take if it's not the standard deduction, what you're projected to owe or what you're going to get in a refund. And then you can make adjustments in the ADP paycheck calculator if you don't like what the IRS paycheck, the IRS tax, I'm getting the calculus messed up. If you don't like the IRS calculator tells you. All right. That's it, y'all. Locked and loaded. End of this episode. Again, like I said, necessities, debt payments, investments, lifestyle. Don't play around with taxes. Do not be behind on taxes. If you want to get educated on something in finances, a particular subject that, isn't like quote unquote budgeting, taxes would be the one. This is America. You need to be educated on your tax situation. And most people's tax situation is W-2, maybe 1099, maybe some deductions. And then, for a family, child tax credit. And then at the federal level, I'm not going to speak on every state, because it's too many states in DC and Puerto Rico and wherever else you can live at technically and still qualify to have to pay tax in the United States. But in short, taxes in general are complicated as far as like initial barrier of entry, because you got the math barrier that people don't, and taxes is percentage based. You got the math barrier, you got the married, filing joint versus separate. When should you do which? You got single, you got head of household, when should you do it? Like all these different type of things. But usually your tax situation stabilizes as the older you get in life. But for those of you who are married, with children, you're done having children, you're likely going to be married, filing joint. You got however many of your tax credits you get for your kids, that are under 18 or still live with you, they're still in college, whatever that qualification is. And you just put in your W-2 information. It's not like most people out here got multiple jobs, W-2 jobs, multiple 1099 jobs. They got health issues in the sense of they paid a lot in health expenses. So they're trying to figure out if they should do married filing jointly versus married filing separately. That's not most people's situation. All right. So, and the great thing is with taxes, you can get ahead of it. So like I said, that tax calculator for the IRS website and the ADP paycheck calculator, those are your tools to put you in a position to not have to deal with this level of stress and anxiety, stressing in short about the future, which hasn't occurred yet because you're likely not prepared for it. So you can start preparing for it now. What proper preparation prevents poor performance? Is that it? The 7 P's, whatever it is, 3 P's, 7 P's, pimping P, whatever it is, pushing P. Anyways, if you're already on the internet, if you're watching this, so take your time, either go back and watch this video or go, find someone who is a tax professional. They say that they're a tax professional, right? They're licensed, they're fiduciary, and get some research from them if you don't like how I explained it. And then go to the IRS website, which is the source. All right. And get some understanding on your particular tax situation. You're not going to be like me where you know all these various things. A lot of you all aren't, well, Gen Z, right? But in general, you're not buying and selling crypto. You're not doing day trading. You don't have all these, you don't have a taxable brokerage account. So you're not selling out of that or buying in that and getting dividends. So you're getting the dividend form. You're not, I'm waiting for those forms too. I'm not waiting, but those other forms I get to. But most people are in that situation. Most people got their W-2, they got their 401k, since it's your 401k, whether it's a Roth or traditional 401k, 403b, whatever you have. You don't have to worry about taxes on that because you're still working. You haven't sold anything yet. It is not as complicated to the point where you need therapy, unless you're Gen Z, and Gen Z is going to throw a mental health in some term about something that all the other generations like. Back in my day, we just said you was a bitch. That was the diagnosis. It's definitely time for it's definitely time for me to. Back in my day, some of these things people saying is like, we just said you was like a punk and you need to suck it up. There was not all this diagnosis. There was not, even when it comes to ADHD. I'll be 31 this year. I'm a 93 baby. But I didn't grow up with a lot of people who had ADHD. Now, once we got to high school, people was saying that so they get that Adderall. They were saying it in college. They were saying that so they can get the Adderall now to focus, and they was popping them. And they was in there for they was in class focused, but I didn't grow up at least knowing, and I grew up with since first grade pretty much all the same kids. I don't remember anybody having ADHD. If you weren't actual special needs, if you were not as smart, so you were in the non-fast paced class, and the opposite of fast would be slow. You was in the slow class. Not that we calling you slow, as people use that as a derogatory term for people who actually has some type of intellectual disability or mental retardation, but Obama changed it to intellectual disability. Not in that frame, not in the, people want to say short bus, whatever it is. You're just not as smart as the rest of us. You're not as smart as the smart class. You're not as smart as the normal pace class. You are below that in the slow class, but you are not in the bottom where people actually have some type of intellectual disability, right? Those four ranges, you on the third range. Right? It's AP, honors, standard, and then the mental health. Okay, you're not mental health, the special needs classes. We trying to see if we can get you like maybe to one honors class, you in all standard, and sometimes you might be in a standard class with two teachers. There's no special needs people in there. You just might be in a standard class. Yeah, I'm just keeping. So when we look at your transcript, and hey, no, there's barely any honors AP, and honors English don't count. All right, and you gotta take AP English. Like AP English is really honors English. The English is, if you've been in honors English, it's like what? You gotta take AP English, but it ain't no honors math classes, no AP math, no, ain't no calc on there, and it ain't nothing. You can't even get into honors history. History is the same. The only difference between AP history, honors history, standard history, and I guess special needs history is just the pace. History does not change. They're not telling you that George Washington was not the first president in U.S. history or world history. You don't learn that. Just the pace or the depth, the breadth and the depth that they go in. But it's not no new information. That's it, y'all. Again, a lot to load. Make sure you comment, like, share, and subscribe. Shout out to the YouTube algorithm. Make sure you leave those rating reviews on the podcast platforms as well. Again, my information, as well as my coach Jordan information, can be found in the description on YouTube. Jordan is Stop Saw and J. On socials, his business page is finallyfit.live. That's where you can go to sign up for the 5:30 a.m. Monday and Wednesday Eastern Standard Time virtual training sessions for myself, _Cory. You can reach out to me for the financial coaching information. And the prices did change. I've been saying my prices were changing, but I never actually changed it, so I couldn't enforce it because that's bad. That's bad practice. But now I did change it. So the prices have changed. That's on the link tree, I believe, on my socials. And so you guys reach out to me. But again, I tell you all the time, if you want a free financial coaching session, you can just come up on here. I'll trade you for the content. All right. That's it, y'all. Locked and loaded. Remember to save more and say less. Keep making better your best. And I'll catch y'all in the next one.